This guy became the greatest adventurer. This broke kid is called Noir Stardia. He was born into the lowest noble class that exists, the baronets. Baronets were once just commoners who accomplished great feats in war, but they're still discriminated against by the other nobles because they're not considered real nobles. Because of that, they struggle with simple things like buying property or even renting a place to start a business. And to make things worse, the protagonist's father wastes their money gambling on slot machines. Noir was born with a very rare skill called Great Sage, which gives him precise answers to any question. But every time he uses it, he gets a horrible headache. His childhood friend Emma says she once read an article about an adventurer who kissed his wives to ease the pain, and she immediately volunteers for the job whenever Noir needs it. From that moment on, Emma starts kissing him to help relieve his headaches. And of course, she's more than happy to do it, since she's completely into Noir. As if he didn't have enough bad luck, Noir also has his job stolen by another kid from a higher noble class. Wanting to get stronger to enter the Magic Academy, our hero goes into a dungeon at his sister's request. She wants to see her brother succeed in life. While exploring, the boy finds a beautiful woman chained up. She turns out to be a legendary adventurer named Olivia Servant, who mysteriously vanished over 200 years ago. She had been trapped all that time because the chains were cursed, preventing her from escaping. She passes down her abilities to the protagonist: Edit, Grant, and Create. Edit lets him rewrite the activation conditions of a skill, whether it's his or someone else's. Grant lets him share a skill. Create lets him invent brand new skills from scratch, at the cost of LP. LP is basically his life satisfaction points, which can increase when he enjoys things like good food, drinks, or romantic interactions. He tests his new skills inside the dungeon. Back home, he raises his LP by lying on his sister's lap and hugging Emma. With the LP he gained, he creates the Serpent Eye, which lets him see someone's stats, something he plans to use for the Academy entrance exam. The test was supposed to be done in groups of 3, but no one wanted to team up with a baronet. The exam required collecting monster items, either buying or hunting them. Noir decides to head into the dungeon, but he ends up facing the literal Grim Reaper. With pure luck on his side, he manages to defeat it, and its drops were the most valuable items collected by anyone in the exam. Because of that, Noir passes in first place with a score the school had never seen before. With a huge enrollment fee to pay and no help from his father, Noir goes to the guild to look for a job and meets Lola. When she hears Noir claiming to be Olivia's student, she doesn't believe him and makes a bet using a lie detector. If he's telling the truth, she'll lift her skirt. And lifting her skirt is only the beginning because Lola ends up falling for Noir. Later on, she even drags him into the guild's back room just to mess with the poor guy. As their back and forth continues, Lola becomes completely smitten with Noir and starts fighting with Emma and the other girls for his attention. After completing a few jobs for the guild, Noir finally gets enough money to pay for his academy enrollment. His life gets hectic, especially after crossing paths with Maria, a cursed girl destined to die at 16, just a short time after he enrolls in the academy. We learn that since the entrance exam, Maria had been watching Noir. She was the first person to treat him kindly and ignore his low baronet status. On the first day of class, we meet their teacher, a former mercenary. She teaches a dodging technique and asks Noir to try it. If he succeeds, she'll reward him. He struggles at first, but thanks to the skills Olivia gave him, he manages to pull it off, and the teacher rewards him by rubbing what she considers her best feature on him. This instantly turns Noir into a hero among the boys and makes him even more popular. In the next activity, students pair up, and Maria chooses Noir. There's clearly a spark between them. But because of her curse, Maria collapses in the middle of class, and Noir becomes worried about one of the girls from his growing harem. Noir rushes to Lola to see what they can do for Maria. Lola says she knows a cleric named Luna, her childhood friend. But Luna has a serious drawback when it comes to removing curses. She must give up part of her own lifespan in exchange for curing someone else. If she were to lift Maria's curse, Luna would almost certainly die. That's why she had already refused Maria's parents' request to remove it. Luna appears at the church healing people, with a huge line of patients waiting for her. She works so much that she barely has any time to rest. Noir starts gathering LP because he's thinking about modifying Luna's ability. Instead of sacrificing her own lifespan to cure someone, she would only lose money, allowing her to live longer. That way, Luna could follow in her mother's footsteps, who was also a cleric and helped many people. The group works hard to gather the money needed to save Maria, and they rush to her rescue. The plan works, and Maria starts developing feelings for Noir, who risked himself for her. Even with his low baronet title, Noir kept moving forward and achieved the highest score in the Academy entrance exam. But Noir now has another goal: saving his teacher Olivia, who was trapped in the dungeon for so long, alone and forgotten. That's when we discover that Noir was once a little kid who used to chase after Olivia, begging her to become his master. She refused him and left on a mission but ended up dying. She carried the guilt with her until meeting the boy again 200 years later, which is why she chose to pass her abilities down to him. The problem is that to free Olivia, Noir must defeat a copy of her, one that possesses the exact same abilities as him. How do you defeat someone who has the same powers as you? And how will Noir's harem handle all of this?